Caleb Mercer ripped open his shirt and pressed the dying infant against his bare chest. The baby had stopped crying. That silence was worse than any scream. "Breathe!" he commanded, his voice breaking. "Damn it! Breathe!" The tiny body was ice cold. Blue lips, no movement. Then a small hand twitched, found his skin, and gripped. Caleb felt tears freeze on his face. 5 years ago, he buried his sister because he arrived too late. Today, death would not win. This is their story. Stay until the end. Hit that subscribe button and comment your city below so I can see how far this tale has traveled. "He's not breathing right." Caleb kicked his horse harder. "Stay with me. You hear me? Stay with me." The infant pressed against his chest made a weak gurgling sound. Better than silence. Anything was better than silence. Behind him on the saddle, the woman he'd pulled from that frozen ravine, slumped unconscious, tied to him with his belt to keep her from falling. Her breath came in shallow rasps against his back. "Help!" Caleb's voice tore through the empty street of Willow Creek. "Someone help me. They're dying." A door flew open. A gray-haired man ran toward him. "What happened?" "Found them 5 miles out. Frozen. The baby hasn't eaten in God knows how long." Caleb was already dismounting, one arm locked around the infant. "He stopped crying an hour ago. That's bad. That's real bad. Bring them inside, now!" The man turned and shouted, "Margaret, I need you!" Caleb carried the baby and the woman somehow still attached to his back. A sturdy woman appeared from a back room, took one look, and her face went white. "Dear Lord, give me the child." "He won't let go." Caleb's voice cracked. "His hand. He's gripping my shirt, and he won't let go." Margaret moved closer, her hands gentle. "Little one, I've got milk for you. Warm milk. You need to let go so I can feed you." The baby's fingers tightened. "Please," Caleb whispered. "Please let her help you." Something in his voice must have reached the infant. The tiny hand released. Margaret took the baby and rushed toward the back room. "I need him alive," Caleb called after her. "You hear me? I need him alive." The gray-haired man was already examining the woman Caleb had laid on the table. His hands moved fast, professional. Hypothermia, severe dehydration, frostbite on both feet. He paused, his expression darkening. "These bruises aren't from falling. I know. Someone beat her, systematically, over a long period. I know." The doctor looked up. "I'm Henry Cole." "Who are you?" "Caleb Mercer. I was riding through. Heard the baby crying." He swallowed hard. "Almost didn't stop. Almost thought it was a bird." "But you did stop." "Yeah." Caleb stared at the unconscious woman. Young, pretty, broken. "Yeah, I stopped." From the back room came a sound that buckled Caleb's knees. The baby was crying. Weak, thready, but crying. Living. "He's feeding." Margaret's voice carried through. "Poor lamb is starving, but he's taking the milk." Caleb sank against the wall. His whole body was shaking. Cold exhaustion, relief, terror. All of it hitting him at once. "She said one word before she passed out," he told Dr. Cole. "Victor." Then she looked like she'd seen the devil himself. Dr. Cole's hands stilled on the woman's wrist. "Victor. You know that name." "No, but I know that look." He met Caleb's eyes. The look of someone who's been running from hell. 3 hours later, the woman woke screaming. "No, don't touch me, don't!" Caleb was at her side before Dr. Cole could move. "You're safe. Look at me. You're safe." Her wild eyes found his face. Confusion. Fear. Then something else. Recognition. "You," she breathed. "The man on the horse. That's right. I found you." You're in Willow Creek now. You're safe. My baby. She tried to sit up and collapsed back. Where's my baby? Where's Samuel? He's here. He's fed. He's sleeping. Caleb pointed to the basket Margaret had placed nearby. See, right there. He's okay. The woman turned her head, saw the sleeping infant, and began to sob. Great, racking sobs that shook her entire body. He's alive. Oh God, he's alive. Because of you, Caleb said quietly. You kept him alive out there. You protected him. I couldn't. She choked on the words. I couldn't let Victor have him. I couldn't let my son grow up watching. She stopped. Her face closed like a door slamming shut. Watching what? Caleb asked gently. Nothing. I've said too much. You haven't said enough. He pulled a chair close and sat. My name's Caleb Mercer. What's yours? She hesitated, trust warring with terror in her eyes. Amelia, she finally whispered. Amelia Dawson. Well, Amelia Dawson, you want to tell me why you were wandering frozen wilderness with a baby? Why you've got bruises that look like someone used you for a punching bag? Why the name Victor makes you look like death warmed over? I can't. Can't or won't. Both. Her voice hardened. You saved our lives. I'm grateful. But my business is my own. Fair enough? Caleb stood. But here's the thing, Amelia. Whatever you're running from, it's going to catch up. And when it does, you're going to need someone standing with you. I'm offering to be that someone. Why? The question burst out of her. You don't know me. You owe me nothing. Why would you? Because 5 years ago my sister sent me letters saying her husband was hurting her. And I didn't come. I told myself she was exaggerating. I told myself I'd help her when I finished my job. Caleb's voice went flat. By the time I got there, Eleanor was dead. Beaten to death by a man who was supposed to love her. Amelia's face crumpled. So when I heard your boy crying in that grass, Caleb continued, when I saw you lying there half dead with bruises all over your body, I made a choice. I chose not to be too late again. That's why. Silence stretched between them. Then Amelia reached out her cold fingers, finding his hand. His name is Victor Ashworth, she said quietly. My husband. And he will kill me if he finds us. The story poured out of her over the next hour. She'd been a schoolteacher in Boston. Orphaned at 22. Desperate for a fresh start. She'd answered a mail-order bride advertisement from a wealthy Wyoming rancher. His letters were beautiful, Amelia said bitterly. Poetic. Kind. He described his ranch, his dreams, his loneliness. I thought I was going to a new life. What did you find? A monster. Her hands twisted in the blanket. Victor isn't a rancher. He's a railroad investor, rich, powerful, connected, and he collects wives like other men collect horses. Caleb went still. Collects. I wasn't his first. When I arrived, I found another woman locked in the attic, his previous wife. He'd driven her mad with his cruelty and hidden her away like a shameful secret. Jesus. The beating started the first week. He never touched my face. Too visible, he said. But everywhere else. She pulled the blanket tighter. I learned to be silent, to obey, to disappear inside myself. Why didn't you run? I tried, twice. Her voice dropped. He found me both times. The punishment was... She shook her head. I learned not to try. What changed? Amelia looked at the basket where Samuel slept. Him. When I found out I was pregnant, something shifted. I couldn't let my child grow up in that house, watching his mother be beaten, learning that love means pain. So you ran again? 3 weeks ago, I heard Victor telling his foreman to dispose of me after Samuel was weaned. He wanted an heir, but not a wife who knew his secrets. She met Caleb's eyes. I walked into a blizzard with a newborn because freezing to death was better than what he planned. And now he's looking for you. Victor never stops looking. He never accepts that his property has walked away. "You're not property," Caleb said sharply. Amelia smiled, and it was the saddest thing he'd ever seen. "Try telling him that." A knock at the door made them both jump. Dr. Cole answered it. A moment later, a weathered man in a sheriff's badge entered. "Mrs. Dawson." He removed his hat. "I'm Sheriff Jonas Ward. I need to speak with you." Amelia's face went gray. "He's found me." "Not exactly." Ward pulled a telegram from his pocket. "But he's looking. This came in today. Victor Ashworth is offering $500 for information about his missing wife and stolen child." "Stolen?" Amelia laughed, and there was hysteria in it. "He's claiming I stole my own son." "He's claiming you suffered maternal hysteria and kidnapped his heir." Ward's expression was grim. "It's a smart play. Makes you look crazy. Makes him look like the victim." "He's good at that," Amelia whispered. "Making himself the victim." Caleb stepped forward. "What can we do?" Ward shook his head. "Legally, not much. If Ashworth shows up with documentation proving he's her husband, proving that child is his, my hands are tied. A wife belongs to her husband under the law." "That's insane." "That's reality." Ward looked at Amelia. "I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying it's what we're dealing with." "So I run again." Amelia's voice was dead. "I take Samuel and I run, and I keep running until he catches me or I die." "There might be another way," Caleb said slowly. Everyone turned to look at him. "What way?" Amelia asked. Caleb took a breath. "Marry me." The silence was absolute. "What?" Amelia breathed. "Marry me. Legally." "A new marriage would complicate Victor's claims. Give you standing. Make Samuel my legal son." "You can't be serious." "I've never been more serious. We've known each other for hours." "Doesn't matter." Caleb held her gaze. "What matters is giving you a weapon to fight back with. Right now you're defenseless. Married to me, you've got options." Ward was nodding slowly. "It's not foolproof. Ashworth could claim bigamy, but it would create legal complications. Slow him down. Buy time." "Time for what?" Amelia demanded. "Time to build a case," Caleb said. "Time to document what he did to you. Time to make sure that when this goes to court, and it will go to court, you've got more than just your word against his." Amelia's hands were shaking. "You'd tie yourself to a woman with a violent husband hunting her. A child who isn't yours. You'd make yourself Victor's enemy." "I became Victor's enemy the moment I heard your son crying and chose to stop." Caleb moved closer. "Amelia, I'm not asking you to love me. I'm not asking you for anything except the chance to stand between you and him. Let me do that. Please." Tears streamed down her face. "Why, I still don't understand why." "Because Eleanor is dead, and I can't save her. But you're alive, and I can save you." His voice broke. "Let me save you." Samuel woke then, fussing softly. Amelia moved to pick him up, but Caleb was faster. He lifted the infant with surprising gentleness, cradling him against his chest. "Hey there, little man," he murmured. "It's okay. I've got you." Samuel's crying stopped. His tiny hand found Caleb's collar and gripped it. His blue eyes, so like his mother's, locked onto Caleb's face with absolute trust. Amelia watched them, something breaking and remaking itself in her expression. "He trusts you," she whispered. "He never trusts strangers." "He knows I'm not going to hurt him." Caleb looked up at her. "He knows I'm not going to hurt either of you." Long silence. Ward and Dr. Cole exchanged glances but said nothing. Finally, Amelia spoke. "If I say yes, there are conditions. Name them." "This marriage is protection only. I'm not ready for anything else. I may never be ready. Victor destroyed something in me." "I understand. And if I ever say it's over, if I ever say I want out, you let me go. No arguments. No guilt. Agreed. And you never ever raise your hand to me or my son, no matter how angry you get, no matter what I do. Caleb's expression went hard. I would die before I hurt either of you. That's what Victor said too, in the beginning. I'm not Victor. No. Amelia studied his face for a long moment. No, you're not. I don't know what you are, Caleb Mercer, but you're not him. Is that a yes? She looked at Samuel, content in Caleb's arms. She looked at the sheriff, waiting silently. She looked at the doctor who'd saved her life. She looked at all these strangers who'd shown her more kindness in one day than Victor had in 3 years. God help me, she said quietly. Yes. Ward cleared his throat. Judge Thornton comes through next week. I can have everything ready. Next week might be too late, Caleb said. How fast can Victor get here? If he left immediately after sending that telegram 3 days, maybe 4. Then we do it faster. Tomorrow, if possible. Ward raised an eyebrow. You don't waste time. Time is exactly what we don't have. Dr. Cole stepped forward. I can witness. So can Margaret. As for officiating, Reverend Miller owes me a favor. I can have him here by morning. Do it, Caleb said. He looked down at Amelia, still watching him with those wounded, wary eyes. Tomorrow morning, he told her, you become Amelia Mercer, and Victor Ashworth becomes my problem. He'll destroy you, Amelia whispered. He destroys everyone who gets in his way. He can try. Caleb's jaw tightened. But I've got something he doesn't. What? Something worth dying for. Samuel cooed and grabbed at Caleb's nose. Despite everything, despite the terror and the tension and the impossible situation, Amelia laughed. It was a small sound, broken and rusty from disuse. But it was real. And in that moment, Caleb knew he'd made the right choice. Whatever came next, whatever Victor Ashworth brought down on their heads, they would face it together. The baby had cried out in the frozen grass. Caleb had heard, and everything had changed. The Reverend arrived at dawn. Caleb hadn't slept. He'd spent the night in a chair outside Amelia's room at the boarding house, his rifle across his lap, listening to every creak and footstep. Every time a horse passed on the street, his hand went to his weapon. You look terrible, Mrs. Henderson said, pressing a cup of coffee into his hands. Did you sleep at all? Couldn't. She's safe here, you know. This is a good town. Good people. Good people can't stop a bullet. Caleb drained the coffee. Is she awake? Been awake for hours. I heard her pacing, and the baby crying. Mrs. Henderson's face softened. That poor girl. Whatever she's running from, it's got its claws deep in her. The door opened, and Amelia emerged, Samuel in her arms. She'd borrowed a dress from Mrs. Henderson, simple blue cotton that hung loose on her thin frame. Her hair was pulled back, revealing the fading bruise on her jaw. She looked terrified. You don't have to do this, Caleb said immediately. If you've changed your mind. I haven't. Her chin lifted. I'm scared, not stupid. This is the best chance Samuel has. And you, what about your chance? Something flickered in her eyes. I stopped thinking about my chances a long time ago. Reverend Miller was a small, nervous man who kept glancing at Sheriff Ward as if seeking permission. Dr. Cole and Margaret stood as witnesses. Mrs. Henderson held Samuel, who watched the proceedings with wide, curious eyes. Dearly beloved, Miller began, his voice shaking slightly. We are gathered here. Skip the sermon. Caleb interrupted. Just get to the vows. Miller blinked. But tradition isn't going to protect her from the man hunting her. Speed might. The Reverend swallowed hard and flipped forward in his book. Do you, Caleb Mercer, take this woman? I do. I haven't finished the bow. I do. Move on. Miller turned to Amelia, flustered. Do you, Amelia Dawson, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? Amelia's eyes met Caleb's. He saw the war in them. Fear versus hope. Past versus future. Everything Victor had taught her versus everything this stranger was offering. I do, she whispered. Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you man and wife. Miller closed his book with visible relief. You may kiss the bride. Caleb didn't move. That's her choice, not mine. Amelia stared at him. Then she stepped forward, rose on her toes, and pressed her lips to his cheek. Brief, chaste, but deliberate. Thank you, she breathed against his ear, for giving me a choice. Sheriff Ward produced the marriage certificate. Caleb signed it. Amelia signed it. Dr. Cole and Margaret witnessed. The paper that might save 2 lives was official. How long until Victor finds out? Caleb asked. Ward shook his head. Hard to say. He's got money, which means he's got people watching. Could be days. Could be hours. As if summoned by the words, the boarding house door burst open. A young man stumbled in, breathless from running. Sheriff riders coming, 3 of them, maybe 4. Rich-looking fella in front. Every drop of blood drained from Amelia's face. He's here. Take her out the back, Caleb ordered Mrs. Henderson. Get her to Dr. Cole's. Stay there until I come for you. Caleb, Amelia grabbed his arm. Don't. He'll kill you. He's killed before. Then he'll have to work for it. He gently removed her hand. Go. Protect Samuel. That's your job right now. What's your job? Caleb picked up his rifle. Making sure Victor Ashworth knows his wife isn't alone anymore. He walked out onto the main street of Willow Creek as 4 riders approached. 3 rough-looking men flanked a figure in expensive clothes. Even from a distance, Caleb could see the arrogance in how the man sat his horse. The ownership. This was Victor Ashworth. That's far enough, Caleb called out, planting himself in the middle of the street. Victor pulled his horse to a stop. His eyes swept over Caleb with contempt. And who might you be? Caleb Mercer, Amelia's husband. The silence was absolute. Then Victor laughed. A cold, ugly sound. Her husband. Is that what she told you? It's what the law says. We were married this morning. Legal and witnessed. Victor's smile didn't waver, but his eyes went flat. Dead. I see. And where is my wife now? My real wife? She's not your wife anymore. She's mine. A piece of paper doesn't change 3 years of marriage, Mr. Mercer. It doesn't change the fact that she's carrying my name, living in my house, bearing my child. Your child? Caleb's grip tightened on his rifle. You mean the child you were going to throw away along with his mother? Something flickered across Victor's face. Surprise. Then fury, quickly controlled. I don't know what lies Amelia has told you, but she's mentally unstable. The birth affected her mind. She needs medical care, not some frontier cowboy playing hero. The only thing that affected her mind was your fists. Victor's composure cracked, just for a second. Be very careful, Mr. Mercer. You're making accusations you can't prove. I've got a doctor who documented every bruise on her body. I've got a woman who walked into a blizzard with a newborn because death was better than staying with you. And I've got a marriage certificate that says she chose someone else. Caleb stepped forward. So turn around, ride back where you came from, and pray I never see your face again. Victor didn't move. His hired men shifted nervously, hands near their weapons. You think this is over? Victor's voice was soft now. Dangerous. You think a piece of paper and some frontier justice will stop me? I have lawyers, Mr. Mercer. Connections. Money. I will bury you so deep in legal proceedings you'll never see daylight again. You can try. I will do more than try. Victor leaned forward in his saddle. I will take back what's mine. The woman, the child, everything. And when I'm finished with you, they'll find your body in a ditch somewhere and call it a robbery gone wrong. Sheriff Ward appeared at Caleb's side, his hand resting on his gun. That sounded like a threat, Mr. Ashworth. In my town, we take threats seriously." Victor's eyes shifted to the badge. His smile returned smooth as oil. "Not a threat, Sheriff. Merely an observation about the dangers of frontier life." He gathered his reins. "I'll be at the hotel. When Amelia is ready to stop this foolishness and come home, she knows where to find me." He turned his horse and rode toward the hotel, his men following. Caleb didn't lower his rifle until they were out of sight. "That went well," Ward said dryly. "He's not going to stop." "No, he's not." Ward spat in the dirt. "Men like that never do. He'll come at you legally first. Try to prove the marriage is invalid, claim she's incompetent, demand custody of the child. When that fails, and it might not fail, he'll come at you other ways." "I know." "You ready for that? Ready to spend every penny you have fighting him in court, ready to watch your back every minute of every day, ready to wonder if today's the day one of his hired guns gets lucky?" Caleb thought about Amelia's face when she'd said yes, thought about Samuel's tiny hand gripping his collar, thought about Eleanor dead in the ground because he'd been too late. "Yeah," he said. "I'm ready." He found Amelia at Dr. Cole's pacing the floor with Samuel clutched to her chest. When she saw him walk in alive, she let out a sound that was half sob, half prayer. "He's here," she said. "I saw him ride past. Victor's here." "I know. I talked to him." "You what?" "Told him you're my wife now. Told him to leave." "And he just agreed." Her voice was bitter. "Just rode away and accepted it." "No. He threatened to destroy me legally and then have me killed." Amelia's legs gave out. She sat down hard, Samuel starting to fuss at her distress. "This is what I was afraid of. This is why I didn't want to involve anyone else." "He'll hurt you, Caleb. He'll hurt everyone who helps me." "Let him try." Caleb knelt in front of her. "Amelia, listen to me. I knew what I was signing up for. I knew who Victor was before I offered to marry you. This isn't your fault, none of it. It feels like my fault. Everyone I care about, everyone who tries to help me, Victor destroys them. The woman who helped me escape in Boston. He had her fired and blacklisted. The friend who hid me the first time I ran, her husband lost his business. Victor doesn't just punish me, he punishes everyone around me. I'm not those people. No, you're worse. You're a cowboy with no money and no connections going up against one of the richest men in the territory." Tears streamed down her face. "Why did you do this? Why did you throw your life away for a stranger?" Caleb took her hand. She flinched but didn't pull away. "Because 5 years ago, I was a stranger who didn't help, and my sister died. I've spent every day since then trying to outrun that guilt, moving from job to job, town to town, never staying long enough to matter to anyone." He squeezed her fingers. "When I heard Samuel crying, I could have ridden past. Part of me wanted to. The part that's been running for 5 years. But I couldn't. I stopped. And the moment I picked up your son, the moment I felt his hand grip my thumb, I knew I was done running. So we're your redemption. No, you're my second chance. There's a difference." Samuel had stopped fussing. He was watching Caleb with those impossibly blue eyes, one tiny hand reaching toward him. "He wants you," Amelia said quietly. "He always wants you." Caleb took the baby, settling him against his chest. Samuel immediately relaxed his head, resting over Caleb's heart. "I've got him," Caleb said. "I've got both of you, and Victor Ashworth can go straight to hell." The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. Dr. Cole documented everything. Every bruise, every scar, every piece of evidence that told the story of Amelia's abuse. He wrote detailed medical reports, had them witnessed and notarized. Sheriff Ward reached out to contacts in other towns, digging for information on Victor's past. What he found was damning. 2 previous wives, both dead under mysterious circumstances. Business dealings that skirted the edge of legality. Rumors of violence that had been covered up with money. None of it's proof, Ward admitted. But it paints a picture. A jury might find that picture compelling. It won't get to a jury, Caleb said. Victor will make sure of that. Then we make sure he can't. They found a lawyer. Samuel Brennan was young, barely 30, but he had a reputation for taking on powerful men and winning. He rode into Willow Creek on the third day, listened to Amelia's story without interruption, and then said 5 words that changed everything. "I've heard this name before." Amelia went pale. Victor. Victor Ashworth. He was involved in a case I worked 2 years ago. A woman in Denver claimed he'd imprisoned her in his home for months. She disappeared before the trial. Officially, she went back east to family. Brennan's expression darkened. Unofficially, no one's seen or heard from her since. "He killed her," Amelia whispered. "I can't prove that, but I believe it." Brennan leaned forward. "Mrs. Mercer, if we're going to fight this man, you need to understand what we're up against. He's not just wealthy. He's connected to judges, politicians, law enforcement. He's gotten away with abuse, possibly murder for years because he knows how to work the system. Then how do we beat him? By making it too public to cover up, by documenting everything, by building such an overwhelming case that no judge, no matter how corrupt, can rule in his favor without destroying his own career. And if that doesn't work..." Brennan was silent for a moment. "Then we pray." Victor made his move on the 4th day. A territorial marshal arrived in Willow Creek with official documents. Victor was claiming that Amelia had kidnapped his son, that she was mentally incompetent, and that her marriage to Caleb was fraudulent. "He's demanding she be returned to his custody pending a hearing," the marshal said, clearly uncomfortable, "along with the child." "Over my dead body," Caleb growled. "Mr. Mercer, I don't like this any more than you do. But these documents are legal. I have to enforce them." "The hell you do." Sheriff Ward stepped forward. "This woman is a citizen of my town, married to a citizen of my town. She's not going anywhere until a proper hearing determines the validity of these claims. The hearing is scheduled for next week. In the meantime, she stays here, under my protection." Ward's hand rested on his gun. "You want to force the issue, Marshal, you go right ahead, but you'll be starting a fight you might not win." The marshal looked at Ward, looked at Caleb, looked at the growing crowd of townspeople who'd gathered, their expressions hostile. "Fine," he said finally. "1 week. But if she's not at that hearing, there'll be consequences." He rode away, and Amelia collapsed against Caleb, shaking. "1 week," she breathed. "We have 1 week. Then we make it count." They worked around the clock. Brennan prepared legal arguments. Dr. Cole gathered medical evidence. Ward collected testimony from everyone who'd seen Amelia's condition when she arrived. But it was Mrs. Henderson who found the breakthrough. "I knew I recognized that name," she said, bursting into Dr. Cole's office on the 5th day. "Victor Ashworth. My sister worked for a family in Philadelphia who knew him. She wrote me letters about him years ago." "What kind of letters?" "The kind that said he was a monster." Mrs. Henderson's face was grim. She said there were rumors about his first wife, that she didn't die of fever like the official story claimed, that there were marks on her body, that the servants were paid to keep quiet. "Can your sister testify?" Brennan demanded. "She's dead now, God rest her. But she kept everything. Every letter, every piece of gossip, every rumor. I have them in a trunk in my attic." The letters were a goldmine. Names, dates, details. A web of abuse and cover-ups that stretched back over a decade. Not proof, but pattern. A pattern that would be devastating in front of a jury. "He's going to be furious when he sees this," Amelia said, reading through the letters with trembling hands. "He's going to..." A gunshot shattered the window. Caleb tackled Amelia to the floor, covering her body with his. Samuel screamed. Glass rained down around them. "Stay down," Caleb shouted. "Everyone stay down." Another shot, then another, then silence. Ward was already running for the door, gun drawn. Brennan watched them. Caleb lifted his head carefully. Amelia, are you hurt? No, Samuel. Margaret has him. He's okay. He's okay. But Amelia was staring at something on the floor, a piece of paper that had been wrapped around a rock and thrown through the broken window. She picked it up with shaking hands. What does it say? Caleb asked. Amelia's face went white. She handed him the note. Drop the case, or the baby dies first. He's threatening Samuel. Her voice was barely a whisper. He's threatening to kill his own son. He's bluffing. He wants an heir. He wouldn't. You don't know him. Amelia's control shattered. You don't know what he's capable of. He burned down a man's house with his family inside because the man testified against him in a business dispute. He had a woman's tongue cut out because she gossiped about him. He would absolutely kill Samuel just to punish me. Caleb grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. Listen. We are not backing down. We are not running. We are going to that hearing. We are going to present every piece of evidence we have, and we are going to destroy him. And if we lose, we won't lose. But if we do, then I will put a bullet in Victor Ashworth myself. I don't care about the law. I don't care about consequences. If it comes down to your life or his, I will end him. Caleb's eyes were hard. Do you understand? I will not let him hurt you or Samuel, whatever it takes. Amelia stared at him. This man she'd known for barely a week. This stranger who'd pulled her from the snow and promised her safety. This cowboy who was willing to throw away his freedom, his life, everything for a woman he barely knew. Why? She whispered. I keep asking, and I still don't understand. Why would you die for us? Caleb's expression softened. Because for the first time in 5 years, I've found something worth dying for. He pulled her into his arms, not a romantic embrace, a protective one. The embrace of a man holding together someone who was falling apart. Samuel's crying quieted. Outside, Ward was shouting orders, organizing a search for the shooter. The letters lay scattered across the floor, evidence of Victor's crimes waiting to be used against him. But in that moment, none of it mattered. All that mattered was this: a woman learning to trust, a man learning to stay, a baby who'd called out in the frozen grass and changed 3 lives forever. The hearing was in 2 days. Victor Ashworth had drawn first blood. But the war was just beginning. The night before the hearing, Amelia couldn't sleep. Caleb found her sitting by Samuel's cradle at 3 a.m, watching her son breathe. Her face was wet with tears she hadn't bothered to wipe away. You should rest, he said quietly. I can't. Her voice was hollow. Every time I close my eyes, I see him. Victor, standing in that courtroom, smiling, because he knows he's going to win. He's not going to win. You don't know that. She finally looked at him, and the despair in her eyes hit Caleb like a physical blow. I've been through this before, not in court, but in life. I've fought him. I've run from him. I've hidden from him. And every single time he wins, he always wins. Caleb sat down beside her. This time is different. Everyone keeps saying that, but what's different? Really? He has money. He has lawyers. He has judges in his pocket. What do we have? The truth. Amelia laughed bitterly. The truth. Do you know what Victor told me once? He said the truth is whatever money says it is. And he was right. I've watched him buy witnesses, bribe officials, make evidence disappear. The truth means nothing to men like him. Then we make it mean something. Caleb took her hand. Tomorrow you're going to stand up in that courtroom and tell your story. Every bruise, every beating, every moment of terror. And people are going to listen, not because of money or power or connections, because truth has a weight to it, a sound, and when you speak they'll hear it. What if I can't? What if I freeze up there and forget everything? You won't. How do you know? Caleb gestured to the cradle. Because of him. Because every word you say is a shield between Samuel and the monster who wants to take him. You won't freeze Amelia. You'll fight. It's what you've been doing since the moment you walked into that blizzard." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she leaned against him, her head resting on his shoulder. "I'm so tired," she whispered. "Tired of being afraid, tired of running, tired of wondering when the next blow is coming. After tomorrow you can rest. After tomorrow this ends. One way or another. One way or another." They sat together until dawn, watching Samuel sleep, drawing strength from his peaceful face. Whatever happened in that courtroom, they would face it together. The hearing was held in the town hall, the largest building in Willow Creek. By 9 in the morning, it was packed. Townspeople filled every seat and lined the walls. Word had spread about the cowboy and the mysterious woman, about the wealthy husband who'd come to claim his property, about the marriage that might or might not be legal. Everyone wanted to see how it ended. Judge Marcus Wheeler presided. A stern man in his 60s with cold eyes and a reputation for following the letter of the law, regardless of circumstances. Caleb didn't like him. Couldn't read him. Victor sat at one table with 2 expensive lawyers, his expression smooth and confident. He looked like a man attending a minor inconvenience, not fighting for custody of a child. Caleb sat at the other table with Amelia and Brennan. Sheriff Ward stood nearby. Dr. Cole and Margaret sat in the front row with Samuel ready to provide evidence. "This hearing will determine the validity of competing claims," Judge Wheeler announced. "Mr. Victor Ashworth claims that Amelia Dawson Ashworth is his legal wife, that she unlawfully removed their child from the family home, and that her subsequent marriage to Caleb Mercer is fraudulent. Mr. Brennan, representing Mrs. Mercer, contests all claims. We will hear evidence and testimony. Mr. Ashworth's counsel may begin." Victor's lead lawyer stood. His name was Harrison, a shark in a suit. "Your Honor, this case is straightforward. My client and Amelia Dawson were legally married in Pennsylvania 3 years ago. They have a son together. Mrs. Ashworth, suffering from postpartum mental instability, fled the family home with the child. She was found wandering in the wilderness by Mr. Mercer, who took advantage of her confused state to convince her to enter into a fraudulent marriage. We have documentation proving the original marriage, proving Mr. Ashworth's paternity, and proving that Mrs. Ashworth was not of sound mind when she allegedly consented to this new union." He presented papers. Marriage certificate from Pennsylvania. Birth certificate for Samuel. Letters from a doctor in Philadelphia claiming to have treated Amelia for hysteria. "The doctor is lying," Amelia hissed to Brennan. "I never saw any doctor." "We'll address that," Brennan whispered back. Harrison continued. "My client simply wants what any father wants. His child returned safely, his wife given the medical care she needs. This isn't a matter of cruelty, Your Honor. It's a matter of a family torn apart by mental illness." He sat down, looking satisfied. Judge Wheeler turned to Brennan. "Your response." Brennan stood. "Your Honor, what Mr. Harrison has presented is a carefully constructed lie. Yes, Amelia Dawson married Victor Ashworth, but that marriage was obtained through fraud. Mr. Ashworth presented himself as something he was not, and from the moment she became his wife, he subjected her to systematic physical and psychological abuse." "Objection," Harrison called out. "These are unsubstantiated accusations." "They are substantiated," Brennan countered, "by medical evidence, witness testimony, and documentary proof. Dr. Henry Cole examined Mrs. Mercer when she arrived in Willow Creek. He documented extensive bruising signs of long-term abuse and injuries consistent with repeated physical assault. He produced the medical reports, photographs, detailed descriptions. The courtroom murmured as the evidence was passed to the judge. "Furthermore," Brennan continued, "we have testimony from Mrs. Henderson, a resident of this town who has letters from her deceased sister describing Mr. Ashworth's history of violence, including rumors about the death of his first wife." Victor's composure flickered, just for a second. "These letters are hearsay," Harrison objected. They establish pattern, Your Honor. They show that Mrs. Mercer's accusations are not the delusions of a disturbed mind, but consistent with Mr. Ashworth's documented behavior. Judge Wheeler studied the letters. His expression remained unreadable. "I'd like to call my first witness," Brennan said. "Dr. Henry Cole." Dr. Cole took the stand and described everything. Amelia's condition when she arrived, the hypothermia, the dehydration, the frostbite, and the bruises. "These injuries," Brennan asked, "in your professional opinion, were they consistent with abuse?" "Absolutely. The bruising patterns indicated repeated trauma over an extended period. Her ribs showed signs of previous fractures that had healed improperly. Her psychological state was consistent with someone who had endured prolonged domestic violence." "Did she seem mentally unstable to you?" "She seemed terrified." "There's a difference. Every reaction I observed was consistent with a woman fleeing genuine danger, not a woman suffering from delusions." Harrison's cross-examination was aggressive. "Doctor, are you a psychiatrist?" "No." "Then how can you assess her mental state?" "I'm a physician with 30 years of experience. I've seen mental instability. I've seen terror. They present differently. Mrs. Mercer was terrified, not insane." "But you can't rule out mental instability entirely." "I can rule out the kind of instability that would make her unable to consent to marriage. She was fully coherent, fully aware, and fully capable of making decisions." Harrison sat down dissatisfied. The next witness was Mrs. Henderson, who read from her sister's letters. Each one painted a darker picture of Victor Ashworth. Servants paid to keep quiet. A first wife who died under suspicious circumstances. Rumors of violence that stretched back years. "These are nothing but gossip," Harrison protested. "Gossip that proves a pattern," Brennan countered. Judge Wheeler held up a hand. "I'll consider the letters as character evidence, not proof of specific acts. Continue." Then it was Amelia's turn. She walked to the witness stand on legs that felt like water. Victor's eyes followed her every step, and she could feel his gaze like a knife at her back. "Mrs. Mercer," Brennan began gently, "can you describe your marriage to Victor Ashworth?" Amelia took a breath. She thought of Samuel. She thought of Caleb. She thought of everything she'd survived to reach this moment. Then she spoke. "The first time Victor hit me was 1 week after our wedding. I'd asked if I could visit a friend. He said no. I asked why. He backhanded me across the face hard enough to knock me down." Her voice was steady, flat, the voice of someone describing events that had happened to someone else. "He apologized afterward, said it would never happen again. It happened again 2 days later." "What did he do?" "He hit me because I'd put too much salt in his soup. He kicked me because I'd laughed too loudly. He broke my ribs because I'd looked at another man for too long." She lifted her chin. "He choked me unconscious because I'd asked to visit my parents' graves." The courtroom was silent. Even Judge Wheeler's expression had shifted. "Did you ever try to leave?" "Twice. The first time he found me within a day. The punishment lasted a week. He didn't let me leave the bedroom, didn't let me eat. The second time I was 8 months pregnant. He caught me in New York. He was careful then. Nothing that would hurt the baby. But he made it clear that if I ever tried again, he would kill me and claim it was an accident." "What made you finally run?" "I heard him talking to his foreman." Amelia's voice cracked for the first time. "He said that once Samuel was weaned, he was going to dispose of me. Those were his exact words. Dispose of me, like I was garbage to be thrown away. So you fled." "I walked into a blizzard with my infant son because dying of cold was better than what he planned. I walked until I couldn't walk anymore, and then I lay down in the snow and prayed that someone would find Samuel, that even if I died, someone kind would save my baby." She looked across the room at Caleb, and tears finally fell. "Someone did." Harrison stood for cross-examination. His tone was condescending, dismissive. "Mrs. Ashworth." "Mrs. Mercer." "Mrs. Ashworth, you claim my client abused you for years." Yet you never reported this abuse to authorities. Why not? Because I knew no one would believe me. Victor is rich, powerful, connected. I was just his wife. Or perhaps there was no abuse to report. There was abuse. Every day. Every week. For 3 years. You claim my client threatened to dispose of you. Do you have proof of this conversation? I heard him say it. So no proof. Just your word against his. My word and the bruises all over my body. Harrison smiled. It was an ugly smile. Bruises that could have come from anywhere. From your own clumsiness. From your walk through the wilderness. From your new husband, perhaps. Caleb shot to his feet. How dare you? Sit down, Mr. Mercer, Judge Wheeler commanded. Continue, Mr. Harrison, but carefully. I withdraw the implication. Harrison turned back to Amelia. Let's discuss your new marriage. You'd known Mr. Mercer for approximately 1 week before you married him. Is that correct? Yes. And you expect this court to believe that was a genuine marriage, not a calculated move to escape your legal obligations to my client. It was both. Amelia's voice hardened. Yes, I needed protection. Yes, marrying Caleb gave me legal standing I didn't have before, but I also married him because he showed me kindness, because he gave me choices instead of taking them away, because he was everything Victor never was. How romantic. Harrison's tone dripped sarcasm. A stranger rescues you, and suddenly it's true love. Not love, not yet, but respect, trust, the chance to be a person instead of property. Property. Harrison seized the word. An interesting choice. My client never referred to you as property. He didn't have to. The way he treated me made it clear. Harrison opened his mouth to continue, but Victor interrupted. This is absurd. Every head turned. Victor was standing, his composure finally cracking. Your Honor, I've listened to these lies long enough. That woman is my wife. That child is my property. I have every legal right. Did you say property? Brennan's voice cut through. Did you just refer to your son as property? Victor's face went white. He realized his mistake. You meant exactly what you said. Brennan turned to the judge. Your Honor, Mr. Ashworth's own words reveal his true nature. He doesn't see his wife and child as people. He sees them as things he owns. That's not what The witness will be silent, Judge Wheeler said coldly. You are not on the stand, Mr. Ashworth. Sit down. Victor sat, but the damage was done. Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Judge Wheeler's expression had hardened. Is there any additional evidence? The judge asked. Brennan smiled. Actually, Your Honor, there is. I'd like to call a surprise witness. The courtroom doors opened. A woman walked in, middle-aged, frail. Her hair was white, her eyes hollow. She walked like someone who'd forgotten how to be in the world. Victor Ashworth's face went gray. Who is this? Judge Wheeler demanded. This is Martha Collins, Brennan announced. Formerly Martha Ashworth, Victor Ashworth's first wife. The courtroom erupted. She's dead, Victor shouted. She died of fever years ago. As you can see, she's very much alive. Brennan guided the woman to the witness stand. Mr. Ashworth had her committed to an institution under a false name. We found her 3 days ago thanks to information in Mrs. Henderson's letters. Martha Collins sat down trembling. But when she looked at Victor, something fierce flickered in her empty eyes. Tell us what happened to you, Brennan said gently. He beat me. Martha's voice was thin, reedy. For 4 years. He beat me until I couldn't think straight anymore. Then he told everyone I was dead and locked me away. I've been in that place for 8 years. They told me I was insane. But I wasn't insane. I was just broken. He broke me. You're lying. Victor was on his feet again. She's mentally disturbed. She doesn't know what she's saying. I know exactly what I'm saying, Victor. Martha's voice strengthened. I know that you're a monster. I know that you destroyed my life. And I know that I'm not going to let you do the same thing to her." She pointed at Amelia. "That woman is telling the truth. Everything she said he did to me too. The beatings, the threats, the cruelty. I lived it, and I almost died from it. Don't let him take her back. Please, don't let him do to her what he did to me." The courtroom was chaos. Victor's lawyers were objecting. Victor himself was shouting. Judge Wheeler was banging his gavel. But Amelia was looking at Martha Collins with tears streaming down her face. This woman who had survived Victor's cruelty. This woman who had crawled out of a grave to testify for a stranger. This woman who proved that Amelia wasn't lying, wasn't crazy, wasn't alone. "Order!" Judge Wheeler roared. "I will have order." The room slowly quieted. "This is highly irregular," the judge said. "But the witness's testimony is relevant. Mr. Harrison, do you wish to cross-examine?" Harrison looked at Victor. Victor was still standing, his face purple with rage. His carefully constructed image was crumbling. "No, Your Honor," Harrison said quietly. "No cross-examination." "Very well." Judge Wheeler gathered his papers. "I've heard enough. I'll render my decision now." Amelia's hand found Caleb's under the table. He squeezed tight. "The evidence presented today is disturbing and compelling. The medical documentation of abuse is clear. The testimony of the first wife is devastating. And Mr. Ashworth's own statement referring to his child as property speaks volumes about his character." Victor's face was a mask of fury. "I find that Amelia Dawson's marriage to Victor Ashworth, while legally valid, was obtained through fraud and maintained through violence. I find that her subsequent marriage to Caleb Mercer was entered into freely and with full understanding of its implications." Amelia stopped breathing. "Therefore, I rule that the marriage between Amelia Mercer and Caleb Mercer is valid. I rule that Victor Ashworth's parental rights are terminated, given the evidence of abuse and the testimony regarding his character. Full custody of Samuel Mercer is granted to Caleb and Amelia Mercer." The courtroom erupted in cheers. Amelia collapsed against Caleb, sobbing. He held her tight, his own eyes wet. "It's over," he breathed. "It's over." But it wasn't. Victor lunged across the courtroom. He grabbed Amelia by the throat before anyone could react, yanking her away from Caleb. "You think this is over," he snarled. "You think a piece of paper means anything. You're mine. You'll always be mine." Caleb's fist connected with Victor's jaw. Victor released Amelia and staggered back. Caleb hit him again, and again. "Caleb, stop!" Ward was pulling him back. "Stop! You'll kill him. That's the idea." But Ward and 2 deputies had him restrained. On the floor, Victor was laughing. Blood dripped from his split lip, but he was laughing. "You think you've won," he spat. "You haven't won anything. I have men outside this building. I have plans you can't imagine. This isn't over. This will never be over." Ward hauled Victor to his feet. "Victor Ashworth, you're under arrest for assault and making threats. Get him out of here." As the deputies dragged him away, Victor's eyes found Amelia one last time. "I'll see you soon, darling," he called. "Very soon." Then he was gone. Amelia was shaking. Her neck was red where Victor's hands had been. "He's going to come after us," she whispered. "The verdict doesn't matter. He's going to come after us." Caleb held her tight. Let him try. But later that night the worst news came. Ward burst into Dr. Cole's house where they'd gathered to celebrate. His face was grim. "Victor escaped. His men broke him out of jail an hour ago. 3 of my deputies are dead." He met Caleb's eyes. "He's coming." Amelia clutched Samuel to her chest. Her worst nightmare was coming true. "We have to run," she said. "We have to—" "No." Caleb's voice was steel. "No more running. We end this tonight." He picked up his rifle. "How?" Ward demanded. "He wants us. He'll come for us. And when he does, I'll be waiting." Outside, the sound of approaching hoofbeats echoed through the night. Victor Ashworth had arrived. The hoofbeats stopped outside Dr. Cole's house. Caleb moved to the window, rifle ready. Through the darkness, he counted shadows. 4 riders, maybe 5. Victor in front, his silhouette unmistakable. Caleb Mercer. Victor's voice cut through the night. Send out my wife and son, and I'll let the rest of you live. He's not bluffing, Ward said grimly. He killed 3 of my men without hesitation. Get everyone to the back room, Caleb ordered. Margaret take Samuel. Amelia go with them. No. Amelia's voice was steel. I'm done hiding. This isn't hiding. This is surviving. Is it? She grabbed his arm. I've been surviving for 3 years. Surviving his beatings, surviving his threats, surviving every moment of terror he put me through. I'm done surviving. I want to live. You can't live if you're dead. And I can't live if I let you die for me. Her eyes blazed. We do this together, Caleb, or we don't do it at all. Before he could argue, another shout came from outside. You have 1 minute, send them out, or we start shooting. Dr. Cole appeared with 2 rifles. I was in the war. I haven't forgotten how to use these. Ward checked his revolver. My remaining deputies are circling around. If we can keep Victor talking, they might get the drop on his men. Might isn't good enough, Caleb said. It's what we have. 45 seconds. Caleb made a decision. I'm going out there. That's suicide, Ward snapped. It's a distraction. Victor wants me. He wants to prove he's the bigger man. If I can keep him focused on me, your deputies have a better chance. And if he just shoots you, then Amelia runs, takes Samuel and runs and doesn't look back. He turned to her. Promise me. Tears streamed down her face. I can't. Promise me. I promise, she whispered. But Caleb, if you die out there, I'll never forgive you. He kissed her forehead. Quick, desperate. Then I'd better not die. He walked out the front door with his hands raised. Victor sat on his horse, a pistol aimed at Caleb's chest. His 3 remaining men flanked him, weapons drawn. Smart move, Victor said. Though I expected you to hide behind my wife's skirts. She's not your wife anymore. Court said so. Courts, Victor spat. Courts are meaningless. Laws are meaningless. The only thing that matters is power. And I have it. You don't. Then why are you here? Caleb kept his voice steady. If you have all the power, why are you standing outside a doctor's house in the middle of nowhere, begging for a woman who chose someone else? Victor's face twisted. She didn't choose you. She was confused, manipulated. You took advantage of her. I gave her something you never did. A choice. She doesn't get choices. Victor's control was cracking. She's mine. She's been mine since the day she signed that marriage certificate, and no frontier cowboy is going to change that. Already did. Victor raised his pistol. You think you're clever. You think you've won something, but you haven't won anything. When I'm done with you, I'll burn this whole town to the ground. Everyone who helped her. Everyone who testified against me. They'll all pay. Big talk from a man who's already lost. Lost? Victor laughed. I haven't lost anything. I've merely been inconvenienced. And inconveniences can be eliminated. He cocked the pistol. Any last words, Mr. Mercer? Caleb smiled. Just 2. Behind you. Victor's head whipped around. Ward's deputies had crept up in the darkness. 3 rifles aimed at Victor's men. Drop your weapons, one deputy shouted. Now. For a frozen moment, nobody moved. Then everything happened at once. Victor's men went for their guns. The deputies opened fire. Horses screamed and reared. Men fell. Caleb dove for cover as Victor fired at him. The bullet grazed his shoulder, burning like fire. He hit the ground, rolled, came up with his rifle. Victor was already off his horse, running toward the house. Amelia! Caleb screamed. He's coming! Inside. Amelia heard the warning. She grabbed the pistol Dr. Cole had given her, the one she'd refused to touch until now, and faced the door. Victor burst through. He stopped when he saw her, the gun in her hands, the look in her eyes. "Amelia." His voice shifted, became soft, persuasive, the voice he'd used in those first letters. "Put that down, darling. You don't want to hurt anyone." "I want to hurt you." Her voice didn't waver. "I've wanted to hurt you for 3 years. You don't mean that. You're confused, scared. That man out there has been filling your head with lies." "The only lies I've heard came from you." Victor took a step closer. "Remember how good it was in the beginning, how happy we were. We can have that again. I'll be better. I'll change. Just come home with me." "You'll never change. You're incapable of it." "Amelia, don't say my name." The gun rose. "You don't get to say my name anymore." Victor's mask slipped. The charm vanished. What was left was cold and empty and terrifying. "You think you can shoot me? You think you have the courage? You're nothing, Amelia. You've always been nothing. A weak, pathetic creature who couldn't survive 5 minutes without a man to protect her." "Maybe I was." Amelia's finger tightened on the trigger. "But I'm not anymore." Victor lunged. Amelia fired. The bullet caught him in the shoulder, spinning him sideways. He crashed into the wall, blood blooming across his expensive shirt. "You shot me." Disbelief flooded his voice. "You actually shot me. And I'll do it again if you move." Victor stared at her. For the first time in their entire relationship, she saw fear in his eyes. Not much. Not enough to stop him. But there. Real. "You've changed," he said slowly. "No. I've remembered who I am. Who I was before you tried to destroy me." Caleb burst through the door, rifle raised. He took in the scene. Victor bleeding on the floor. Amelia standing over him with a smoking pistol. "Amelia." "I'm okay." Her voice was shaking now, the adrenaline fading. "I shot him. He came at me, and I shot him." "Is he—" "Not dead, unfortunately." Victor laughed weakly. "Still has some fire, doesn't she? I always knew it was there, buried under all that fear. That's why I had to break her, because the fire was dangerous." "Shut up." Caleb kicked Victor's hand away from the pistol he'd been reaching for. "It's over. Your men are dead or captured. You're bleeding out on a doctor's floor. There's nowhere left to run." "There's always somewhere to run. Always another plan. Another trick." Victor's eyes found Amelia. "This isn't over, darling. It will never be over. Even if I hang for this, even if I rot in prison, I'll find a way. I'll always find a way." "No." Amelia stepped closer. "You won't. You don't know me as well as you think you do. I know you perfectly. You're a small, pathetic man who can only feel powerful by hurting people weaker than him. You're a coward who hides behind money and lawyers and hired thugs because you can't fight your own battles. And you're done, Victor. Not because the law says so. Not because a judge ruled against you. Because I say so." She crouched down, bringing herself to his eye level. "I'm not afraid of you anymore. Do you understand? Whatever power you had over me, it's gone. You can threaten me. You can curse me. You can plot and scheme from whatever prison cell they throw you in. But you will never, ever control me again." Victor's face contorted. "You ungrateful—" "Shut up." Her voice was quiet now, deadly calm. "I'm going to walk away from you. I'm going to raise my son. I'm going to build a life with a man who actually knows how to love. And I'm going to forget you ever existed. That's your punishment, Victor. Not death. Not prison. Being forgotten. Being nothing. Because that's what you are to me now. Nothing." She stood and walked away from him. Victor tried to rise. Caleb's boot on his chest pushed him back down. "Stay down," Caleb growled, "or I'll finish what she started." Ward came through the door, taking in the bloody scene. "Everyone all right?" "We're alive," Caleb said, "which is more than I can say for this bastard's men. 2 dead, 1 captured, This one makes 4. Ward looked down at Victor with disgust. You're going to hang Ashworth for breaking out of jail, for killing my deputies, for everything. You can't prove anything, Victor snarled. I don't have to prove anything. I have witnesses. I have a confession you made in front of half the town, and I have a judge who's very interested in hearing about Martha Collins. Victor's face paled. She's insane. No one will believe her. They believed her today. They'll believe her at your murder trial too. Murder? I haven't murdered anyone. Your first wife's death is being investigated. Your threats against Mrs. Mercer are documented. And now 3 dead deputies. Ward smiled coldly. You're done, Ashworth. The money can't save you. The connections can't save you. Nothing can save you. They dragged Victor out into the night. When he was gone, Amelia's legs gave out. She would have fallen if Caleb hadn't caught her. I shot him, she whispered. I actually shot him. You saved yourself. You saved all of us. I've never hurt anyone before. I've never even held a gun before tonight. And you did it. When it mattered, you pulled the trigger. She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. Is it over? Is it really over? It's over. He's going to prison, or the gallows. Either way, he's never going to hurt you again. Margaret appeared with Samuel in her arms. The baby was crying, frightened by the gunshots and shouting. Amelia took him, held him close, and her sobs broke free. Shh, baby. Shh. Mama's here. Papa's here. You're safe. You're safe. Samuel's crying eased. He nestled against his mother's chest, small fingers gripping her dress. Caleb wrapped his arms around both of them. They stood there, in the blood-stained room, holding each other, and the weight of everything that had happened crashed down on them. The fear, the fighting, the desperate hope that had carried them through. It was over. Victor Ashworth was finished, and somehow, against all odds, they had survived. The next morning, Caleb woke to find Amelia already up. She was sitting by the window, Samuel, in her arms, watching the sun rise over Willow Creek. Her face was peaceful in a way he'd never seen before. Couldn't sleep, he asked. I slept better than I have in years. No nightmares, no waking up terrified. Just sleep. How does that feel? Strange. She turned to look at him. Good strange. Like I'm finally breathing after years of drowning. Caleb sat beside her. What happens now? I don't know. I've been running for so long I forgot there was anything else. There's plenty else. Building a life, raising Samuel, figuring out who you are when you're not afraid. Who I am. She laughed softly. I have no idea who that is. Then we find out together. Amelia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, You could leave. The danger's over. You're not obligated to stay. Obligated. We married for protection. That protection isn't needed anymore. If you wanted to dissolve the marriage, go back to your old life, I'd understand. Caleb stared at her. Is that what you want? I'm asking what you want. What I want is to stay. What I want is to watch Samuel grow up. What I want is to figure out this marriage thing with you, however long that takes, whatever it looks like. He took her hand. I didn't marry you just for protection, Amelia. I married you because something in me knew this was right. Knew you and Samuel were where I was supposed to be. You barely knew me. I knew enough. I knew you walked into a blizzard to save your son. I knew you faced down a monster and survived. I knew you were the bravest person I'd ever met. He squeezed her fingers. I want to know the rest. If you'll let me. Tears welled in her eyes. I don't know how to be a wife. Not a real one. Victor broke something in me. Then we don't be traditional. We be whatever works for us. Partners. Friends. Co-parents. Whatever you need, whatever you're comfortable with, that's what we are. And if I'm never comfortable with more, then that's okay too. Amelia searched his face, looking for lies, looking for hidden expectations, looking for anything that resembled Victor. She found none. "You really mean that?" she whispered. "I really do." She leaned against him. Samuel cradled between them. "I don't know how to do this," she said. "Any of it. Normal life, normal marriage, normal everything. Neither do I. We'll figure it out together. Promise." "I promise." They sat together watching the sun climb higher, and for the first time in years, the future felt like something to look forward to rather than dread. Ward came by that afternoon with news. "Victor's being transferred to the territorial prison tomorrow. He'll stand trial for the deputy murders within the month." "Will he hang?" Amelia asked. "Almost certainly. We have eyewitnesses. We have his confession of intent, and we have testimony from Martha Collins about what he did to her." Ward's expression was grim but satisfied. "He's done Mrs. Mercer. Properly done. Thank you, Sheriff, for everything. Don't thank me. Thank your husband. He's the one who refused to let this bastard win." After Ward left, Brennan arrived with his own news. "The institution that held Martha Collins has been shut down pending investigation. Turns out Victor wasn't the only wealthy man hiding inconvenient wives there." "What happens to Martha?" Amelia asked. "She's being cared for by the church. She has a long road to recovery, but she's out of that place. She's free." Brennan paused. "She asked about you, wanted to know if you were safe. Tell her yes. Tell her thank you. Tell her I'll visit when she's strong enough. She'd like that." Brennan gathered his papers. "My work here is done. The legal matters are settled. Victor's crimes are documented. You're free to build your life without looking over your shoulder." "Mr. Brennan." Amelia stopped him at the door. "Why did you take this case? You could have refused. It would have been safer." Brennan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "My mother was married to a man like Victor. She never escaped. Died still trying to please a monster who was incapable of being pleased." His jaw tightened. "When I became a lawyer, I promised myself I would fight for women like her, women like you, so men like Victor couldn't keep winning. I'm sorry about your mother." "Don't be sorry. Be free. That's the best tribute to women like her." He left, and Amelia turned to Caleb. "So many broken people," she said quietly. "So much pain, all because of men who think they own other human beings. But look what happened. Martha's free. Victor's going to hang. You survived." Caleb pulled her close. "The broken people won, Amelia. That matters. Does it make up for all the suffering? Nothing makes up for suffering. But surviving it, thriving after it, that's victory. That's the best revenge." Samuel made a gurgling sound, reaching for Caleb. He lifted the baby, settling him against his shoulder. "What do you think, little man, ready for a boring, peaceful, completely uneventful life?" Samuel grabbed Caleb's nose and laughed. "I'll take that as a yes." A week later, Victor Ashworth was transported to the territorial prison. Amelia didn't go to watch. Neither did Caleb. They spent that day at the boarding house playing with Samuel, talking about the future, deliberately not thinking about the man who had terrorized them. "We should find a real home," Caleb said. "This room is fine, but Samuel needs space to grow. Do we have enough money?" "I have savings from the cattle drive. It's not much, but it's a start. And I can find work, good work. I could teach." Amelia's eyes lit up. "I was a school teacher before Victor. I could do it again. Willow Creek could use a proper school. Right now, kids just learn whatever their parents can teach them." "Really?" "Really. Talk to Mrs. Henderson. She knows everyone. She could help you get started." For the first time since this nightmare began, Amelia looked excited, hopeful, alive. "A school," she murmured. "My own school." "Our own life," Caleb corrected. "Whatever we want it to be." She kissed him. It surprised them both. A real kiss, not a grateful peck on the cheek. her lips pressed against his, soft and tentative. When she pulled back, her face was flushed. "I'm sorry," she stammered. "I don't know why I don't apologize." Caleb's voice was rough. "Not for that. Never for that. I just felt I wanted to." She struggled for words. "You don't have to explain. I want to." She took a breath. "For 3 years, physical contact meant pain. Victor touching me meant I was about to be hurt. I flinched from everything, even kindness, especially kindness. And now I look at you and I don't flinch. I look at you and I feel safe, wanted, not like property, but like a person." She touched his face. "That's new. That's precious. And I wanted to show you that I'm healing. That whatever Victor broke in me, it's starting to mend." Caleb covered her hand with his. "At your pace, remember?" "I remember, but maybe my pace is changing." "Then I'll be here, whatever speed that is." She smiled. A real smile without shadows. "I think I might be starting to fall in love with you, Caleb Mercer." "I know I'm already in love with you, Amelia Mercer." The words hung between them. Neither had said them before, neither had dared. But now, with Victor in prison and the future stretching open before them, the words felt right, felt true. "We're going to be okay," Amelia said. "Aren't we? We're going to be more than okay. We're going to be happy." A month later, Victor Ashworth stood trial for the murder of 3 deputies. The trial lasted 2 days. The evidence was overwhelming. The testimony was damning. Martha Collins spoke with a clarity that surprised everyone, describing years of abuse that perfectly mirrored what Amelia had suffered. The jury deliberated for less than an hour. Guilty. The sentence was death by hanging. When the verdict was announced, Amelia felt nothing. No joy, no triumph, just emptiness. "I thought I'd feel something," she told Caleb that night. "He's going to die. The man who terrorized me for years is going to hang. And I feel nothing." Maybe that's the healthiest response. He doesn't deserve your emotions anymore. Not hate, not satisfaction, nothing. Is that what healing looks like? Feeling nothing. Maybe healing looks like not caring what happens to him because you're too busy building a life that doesn't include him. Amelia considered this. "You might be right. I'm occasionally wise. Occasionally, don't push it." She laughed, a real laugh, full and warm. Samuel clapped his hands from his cradle, delighted by his mother's joy. "Look at us," Amelia said. "A family. An actual family. Feels good, doesn't it? Feels like everything I never thought I'd have." Victor Ashworth was hanged on a gray morning in December. Amelia didn't attend. Neither did Caleb. They spent that morning decorating their new home for Christmas, a small house on the edge of Willow Creek that they'd purchased with combined savings. "Is it strange?" Caleb asked as he hung evergreen branches. "Knowing what's happening right now?" "No." Amelia adjusted Samuel on her hip. "He stopped being real to me the moment I pulled that trigger. The man hanging today is a stranger. He has nothing to do with my life." "That's a healthy attitude? I had a good teacher?" She kissed his cheek and went back to decorating. That evening, Mrs. Henderson brought news that it was done. Victor Ashworth was dead. His body would be buried in an unmarked grave. No service, no mourners. Amelia nodded, thanked her for letting them know, and returned to playing with Samuel. The monster was dead, and life went on. Spring came to Willow Creek with a rush of warmth and color. Amelia's school had opened in January. 12 students now, with more wanting to join. She taught reading, writing, arithmetic, and something she called critical thinking, which mostly involved encouraging children to ask questions. "You're a natural," Caleb told her one evening, watching her grade papers by lamplight. "I love it. I forgot how much I loved teaching." "You forgot a lot of things. You're remembering them now." She looked up at him, and the love in her eyes made his chest tight. I remember everything important. How to be happy, how to trust, how to love. She set down her pen. How to be a wife. Oh yeah, what does that mean? She stood cross to him and wrapped her arms around his neck. It means, she said softly, that I'm ready. Ready for what? Everything. She kissed him, and this time there was nothing tentative about it. Samuel slept peacefully in his cradle as his parents finally came together. Not in obligation, not in desperation, in love. Real love. Chosen love. The kind that Victor Ashworth never understood and could never have destroyed. 1 year passed. Samuel took his first steps on a Tuesday morning, lurching from Amelia's arms toward Caleb with determination that made both parents laugh through tears. That's it! Caleb caught him. You did it. Samuel babbled something that might have been Papa and grabbed Caleb's nose. He walked. Amelia was crying. My baby walked. Our baby. Caleb corrected. Our baby. The school had grown to 23 students. Amelia taught in a proper building now. She'd hired Ruth, a young widow who'd fled her own difficult marriage. Life was good. Too good. The letter arrived on a Wednesday. Caleb recognized the handwriting immediately. Elegant. Precise. The same handwriting that had threatened them a year ago. But Victor was dead. Hanged. Buried in an unmarked grave. His hands shook as he opened the envelope. Mr. Mercer, you think it ended with Victor? It didn't. He had partners. He had debts. And those debts are now yours. We're coming for what he owed us. The woman, the child, or the money, your choice. You have 1 week. No signature. Caleb's blood ran cold. What is it? Amelia appeared in the doorway. Caleb, you're white as a sheet. He couldn't lie to her. Not after everything. He handed her the letter. She read it twice. Her face went through stages. Confusion. Recognition. Terror. No, she whispered. No, it can't start again. It can't. It won't. Caleb's voice was steel. I won't let it. Who are they? What partners? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. He rode to town immediately, found Sheriff Ward in his office. Victor had business partners, Caleb said, slamming the letter on the desk. Who were they? Ward read the letter. His expression darkened. The railroad investments. Victor wasn't working alone. There were others, investors from back east. He looked up. I thought they'd all distanced themselves after the trial. Apparently not. This is extortion. I can arrest them if we find them. Finding them is the problem. Let me make some inquiries. Don't do anything stupid, Mercer. But Caleb was already planning, already preparing. He wouldn't wait for them to come. He'd go to them first. That night, he told Amelia his plan. No. Her voice was sharp. Absolutely not. I have to end this. By riding into a trap, by getting yourself killed. By showing them we're not afraid. By making it clear that threatening this family has consequences. Caleb, please. Tears streamed down her face. I can't lose you. Samuel can't lose you. We've already survived so much. That's exactly why I have to do this. He took her hands. If I don't stop them now, they'll keep coming. There will always be another letter, another threat, another shadow over our lives. I won't raise our children in fear. Our children. Caleb paused. I was hoping to wait for a better moment to tell you, but Dr. Cole confirmed it yesterday. You're pregnant again. Amelia's hand flew to her stomach. What? About 6 weeks. I wanted to surprise you, but... He gestured at the letter. This changes things. It changes everything. Her voice hardened. Now you definitely can't go. Now I definitely have to. For our son. For our daughter. For the baby coming. I have to end this. They argued for hours. Finally, Amelia made a demand. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. You said we do things together. Partners. Remember, this is different. No, this is exactly the same. She grabbed his arm. I'm done being the woman who waits at home while men decide my fate. Whatever we face it together. Caleb saw the fire in her eyes. The same fire that had made her walk into a blizzard with a newborn. The same fire that had made her pull a trigger on Victor. Together, he agreed. But Samuel stays with Margaret. Samuel stays with Margaret. They left at dawn. Ward had traced the letter to a hotel in Rapid City. 3 men had checked in a week ago. Wealthy, Eastern accents, asking questions about the Mercer family. They're not hiding, Ward said. They want you to come. Then let's not disappoint them. The ride to Rapid City took 2 days. Caleb and Amelia barely spoke, each lost in their own fears and preparations. On the second night, camped under the stars, Amelia finally broke the silence. Are you scared? Terrified? You don't look terrified. I've learned to hide it. He pulled her close. Are you? Yes, but not of them. She met his eyes. I'm scared of losing what we've built. I'm scared of our children growing up without parents. I'm scared that Victor's shadow will follow us forever. It won't. I promise you after tomorrow it ends. How can you be sure? Because I'm not the same man who found you in that grass. I was running from everything then, running from guilt, from grief, from life. But now I have something to fight for. And men who have something to fight for don't lose. That sounds like something from a story. Maybe our story. She kissed him, fierce and desperate. Whatever happens tomorrow, she said, I love you. I've loved you since you wrapped Samuel in your coat. I just didn't know what to call it then. I've loved you since you opened your eyes and asked about your baby. A woman that devoted, that brave, how could I not love her? They held each other through the night, knowing tomorrow would change everything. The hotel was called the Grand. It wasn't grand, just large and expensive. Caleb walked through the front door with Amelia beside him. Ward had wanted to come, but Caleb refused. This was personal. The men were waiting in a private dining room, 3 of them, well-dressed, confident. The look of men who'd never faced real consequences. The leader stood as they entered. Tall, silver-haired with cold eyes. Mr. Mercer, Mrs. Mercer, thank you for coming. Cut the pleasantries, Caleb said. What do you want? Direct. I appreciate that. The man gestured to chairs. Please sit. We'll stand. As you wish. He remained standing as well. My name is Harrison Burke. I was Victor's primary investor. We had arrangements, financial arrangements that were disrupted by his unfortunate demise. Unfortunate. Amelia's voice dripped venom. He was a murderer. He was a businessman. What he did in his personal life was his concern, not mine. Burke's smile was reptilian. But his debts became my concern when he died, and those debts were considerable. His debts have nothing to do with us, Caleb said. On the contrary, when Victor died, his estate should have covered those debts. But his estate was seized by the territory. His assets were frozen, and certain properties he'd promised me were awarded to his former wife. Burke's eyes fixed on Amelia. You, Mrs. Mercer, are sitting on my investment. I don't have any of Victor's property. The trust your parents left you. Victor borrowed against it. That money is mine. Amelia went pale. That's my mother's money. Victor had no right. Victor had every right. You were his wife. Your assets were his assets. Burke pulled a document from his coat. This is the loan agreement, signed by Victor Ashworth. Your trust was collateral. I'm here to collect. Caleb grabbed the document, read it quickly. His stomach dropped. It was legitimate. Victor had borrowed $50,000 against Amelia's family trust, the same trust Aunt Margaret had mentioned, the same trust that was supposed to be Amelia's safety net. This is fraud, Caleb said. Amelia never signed anything. She didn't need to. She was his wife. The law was on his side. Burke smiled. Now I'm a reasonable man. I don't want to take everything. Just what I'm owed. Pay me the $50,000 and you'll never hear from me again. We don't have $50,000. Then we have a problem. No. Amelia's voice was steady. You have a problem. Burke raised an eyebrow. Excuse me. That loan agreement was signed after Victor had already committed fraud by hiding his first wife. That means his marriage to me was never legal. That means he had no right to my trust. That means your agreement is worthless. Burke's smile flickered. That's an interesting theory. It's not a theory, it's fact. Judge Wheeler ruled that my marriage to Victor was obtained through fraud. Everything that flowed from that marriage is invalid, including your loan. Courts can be appealed, and appeals can be publicized. Amelia stepped forward. I know who you are, Mr. Burke. I've done research. You're a respected investor, philanthropist, pillar of society. How would your reputation survive if people learned you were partners with a man who beat his wives, who murdered women, who imprisoned his first wife in an asylum for 8 years? Burke's composure cracked. That has nothing to do with. It has everything to do with everything. You think you can threaten my family and walk away clean. I will destroy you. I will tell every newspaper from here to New York exactly what Victor was and exactly who helped him. By the time I'm finished, you won't be able to show your face in polite society. You wouldn't dare. I walked into a blizzard with a newborn to escape a monster. I shot my husband when he tried to take me back. I testified in open court about every beating, every humiliation, every moment of terror. Her voice was ice. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Silence stretched through the room. Burke's 2 companions exchanged nervous glances. This wasn't going the way they'd planned. Think carefully, Caleb added. Right now, nobody knows you're connected to Victor. Walk away, and nobody ever has to know. Keep pushing, and my wife will make sure the whole country knows exactly what kind of man you are. Burke stared at them, calculating, weighing his options. Finally, he spoke. The loan agreement. Give it to me. Caleb handed it over. Burke tore it in half, then in quarters. Let the pieces fall to the floor. This conversation never happened, he said coldly. I was never in Wyoming. Victor Ashworth was a casual acquaintance, nothing more. That's the smartest thing you've said all day. Burke gathered his companions and swept toward the door. At the threshold, he turned back. You've made a powerful enemy, Mrs. Mercer. I've survived worse. He left without another word. When the door closed, Amelia's legs gave out. Caleb caught her before she hit the floor. You were incredible, he breathed. I was terrified. You didn't show it. I learned from the best. She looked up at him. Is it over? Really over this time? It's over. Burke won't risk his reputation, and without the loan agreement, he has no claim. We won. We won. She laughed, or cried, or both. The sound echoed through the empty dining room like a victory bell. They rode home slowly, savoring the peace. Amelia talked about the future now. Really talked about it. The school, the ranch, the baby growing inside her. Things she'd been afraid to plan because planning meant hoping, and hoping had always led to disappointment. I want Eleanor for the name, she said suddenly. Eleanor, if it's a girl, for your sister. So, she's part of our story. Caleb's throat tightened. She would have loved you. I hope so. I hope she knows wherever she is that you finally found peace. I think she knows. The baby came in June, a girl, 7 pounds, perfect. Eleanor Rose Mercer, Amelia announced, cradling her daughter. Samuel now too peered into the bundle with suspicion. Baby. Your sister. Mine. Yours too. He considered this, then leaned over and kissed Eleanor's forehead. Love, baby. Caleb gathered his family in his arms. Wife, son, daughter. This was what he'd been riding toward his whole life. Not a destination on a map, but this. These people. This love. Years passed. More children came. Thomas strong and steady. Hope wild and fearless. The ranch grew. The school flourished. The family deepened. Aunt Margaret visited every summer bringing stories of Amelia's mother and pieces of a history Victor had tried to erase. On the 10th anniversary of finding Amelia and Samuel, Caleb rode out to the ravine alone. He sat in the grass where he'd found them, remembering. A dying woman. A starving baby. A choice that changed everything. "Thank you," he said to the empty air. To Eleanor. To God. To whatever force had put him on that road at that moment. "Thank you for making me stop." The wind stirred the grass. Nothing answered. But Caleb felt peace anyway. That night, the whole family gathered around the dinner table. "Papa," Samuel said. He was 11 now, serious and thoughtful. "Why did you stop that day when you heard me crying?" Caleb looked at Amelia. She nodded. "Because I'd made that mistake before. Not stopping, not helping. And it cost me someone I loved." He took a breath. "Your cry gave me a second chance. I wasn't going to waste it. So we saved you too. You saved me too." Samuel considered this. Then he smiled. "Good. We're even then." Later, Amelia found Caleb on the porch watching the stars. "What are you thinking about?" "Everything. Nothing. How lucky we are." "Lucky?" She laughed softly. "We were beaten, hunted, shot at, threatened. That's lucky. We survived. We built this. We have 4 children who've never known fear." He pulled her close. "That's the luckiest thing I can imagine." She leaned into him. "I love you, Caleb Mercer. I love you, Amelia Mercer." The stars wheeled overhead. The same stars that had watched their story unfold from the beginning. A baby's cry had changed everything. A cowboy's choice had saved 3 lives. And love had built an empire from the ashes of despair. This was their story. This was their truth. This was their forever. The end is never really the end. It's just the beginning of something new. And their beginning had started with the simplest act of all. He heard a baby crying. He stopped, and everything changed.